talks from the crypt.
Both Patricia and Cameron are two of my favorite actors that I got to give an opportunity that so deserved the opportunity.
Right.
Patricia, because she had a really ethereal, haunted quality that was a real part of her vulnerability as a young lady at the time and as an actress. And I wasn't surprised that she went on to, real greatness. She had a very difficult first day on the set on Elm Street. And it happens way more than people like to admit. But she was, whatever she was, 20 years old or something, and she choked. And it stopped the scene at the time. And I got rid of the crew. She just went up. We call it going up. It happens. I've seen it happen to famous names you'd know, actually. And to me, it's temporal, and it's my job to get them past it. And I just got the crew out of the room, and I got off camera and just started feeding her lines. And the producers actually wanted to fire her after day one. And I said, there's absolutely no reason to do that. She's going to be great. So there was some pressure on her second day of shooting, and she came out like a champ. So that she had a lot of guts even as a kid. Anyway, I really saw great depth in that. Now, people can laugh. I make pop movies, all right? But to me, there's incredible depth in the movie. When Patricia is holding Heather in her arms at the end when her character has died, maybe it's pop, maybe it's Nightmare on Elm Street 3, but Patricia put her whole heart into crying for her dead friend.
Classic Chuck Russell misdirection, by the way. You think it's her dad.
Yeah, right.
It isn't.
Yes, well, yeah. It's a horror film. It's not going to have a happy ending. So,
yeah.
It could be Freddy. You have to be careful, Ned.
But the way the screenplay was and the way it played out in the movie, especially after they beat Skeleton Freddy, you'd think that okay, this is a happy ending.
It's pretty corny, actually. It's one of the things that's aged. Just how Saxon comes down. The budget showed as Saxon floats down on wires.
Right.
But no, the bit worked, and Patricia was brilliant in the film. It was a great cast in general. Nancy is played by
Heather Langenkamp.
Yeah, Heather Langenkamp. The big thing for me on Elm Street 3, I should mention, was bringing Heather Langenkamp. I thought the fans wanted to get back into the vibe of Wes's. I thought bringing Heather back was super important.
How did you feel about 2? Because I know everybody trashes 2, but I loved it.
I didn't, because I was remember, I'm just a fan at this point. I'm making my own films and kind of looking at the landscape of horror films at that time. But I was disappointed because Wes's was so imaginative, and film was a little more slasher. There was a shot in 2 where Freddy's chasing kids around the pool. It's like a group of kids, and he's swinging. And I thought it made him look almost powerless. So no offense, because it's Jack Shoulder, I think.
Yeah, Jack Shoulder.
Yeah. Jack did a great job, and there are people that love it now, and it's got some sexual subtext
gay undertones
that I didn't quite get at the time.
Yeah.
That I get. It's cool, and that's a scary thing to twist your horror around.
Well, I love that Bob Shea was the leathered up gay bartender.
Oh my God, I'd forgotten that.
Yeah. No, I love that movie. I think it gets a lot of shit, and people talk about this.
I've heard what you're saying. I've heard people but people were upset at the time. Now since there's been 7, 8 Elm Street films, the fans have forgiven number 2 and now can appreciate it. But I think it almost took the series off. I mean, they were not going to do number 3. I was presented number 3 as someone who wanted to direct that had not directed yet. It was like, if you can fix it, we'll think about shooting 3.
Well, what happened with Dream Master and Dream Child? Because your same characters were in Dream Master, I believe, 4. And they went with a different director, completely different direction.
Well, you know what? I didn't try to direct anymore. And the whole vibe at New Line at the time was not like, let's get Chuck to direct a bunch. I don't recall that being the case. I wanted to do The Mask. I wanted to do other things. I didn't want to become a horror director. I didn't want to be stuck in horror.
As Wes Craven calls it, the horror ghetto.
Yeah, exactly. So I know what happened. I finished 3, and right away we got to do The Blob. So doing those back to back, I was a little bit out of the New Line stream for a minute, and they had to carry on. And then I didn't really want to do horror, because I thought I was offered Chucky. I thought, if I'm Chuck Russell, if I do Chucky and my career is Elm Street 3, Blob, and Chucky, I'm toast.
You were offered the first Chucky?
Yeah, I was offered the original.
Wow. So it was between you or Tom Holland.
I don't know who was whatever. And when I say offered, it's been a while. They did want me to do it.
Right.
And I really had to consider it. And my agent wanted me to do it at the time. But I saw that it was going to be cool. But there was something about it being called Chucky. And I knew that I was not going to ever get past that.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, that's going to be me in horror. And I had directed stage plays. I'd done musical comedy. I'd been an actor. I leaned towards comedy improv as a young actor. And I just really wanted to get to do other things.
Yeah.
So I rolled the dice and it worked out for me. And now I'm back to horror.
Right.
Thank goodness.
Well, welcome back. And you're definitely, I guess my question is like, is there such a thing as the horror ghetto? Because, when we think about Tobe Hooper or, even Wes Craven, John Carpenter, these guys are icons.
John, I don't think of as being in a horror ghetto at all. John Carpenter did Big Trouble in Little China, which may be his equivalent to My Mask.
Escape from New York.
Yeah, Escape. He was doing great. And what about They Live?
Oh,
My God, it's like
amazing.
Some of us think it's a documentary now.
Yeah.
It's like, so I think maybe if I had done all three horrors, I would have done something like John had done. But at the time, I was a little obsessed with, also I have nightmares. I legitimately have problems with nightmares. And when I edit, I'm fine up to the editing, because when I'm watching scenes over and over, I literally start to dream that shit.
Yeah.
So it's not my favorite
side
effect.
Were you into horror when you were a kid?
Very much so, yeah. I loved horror.
Okay.
I love horror, but I love sci-fi, and I was all about Seventh Voyage of Sinbad I'd seen on TV, and Enter the Dragon.
Is that Harryhausen?
Yes.
Wow.
So I was very big on Harryhausen, and actually I got to work with a student of Harryhausen, who was Jim Danforth, to do the Snake Man on Dreamscape. So I'm always kind of trying to get find the vein of where this stuff really came from and incorporate those people. I'm not the only director that, for some reason, I think Sinbad, the Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, even though it's a very Hollywood American-y version, and all the magician has to do is make a hand pose and he can create a giant monster. My work regarding magical is that manifestation costs the practitioner. So in real, what we might call magic, in real manifestation, whether it's a guru in remote India who will bury himself alive to have a vision, or our own American Indians, the smoke lodge where you eventually pass out to have it, you get close to death to have a real vision, and manifesting other forms of magic. And I only want to know so much about this. Right. I'm kind of I'm a bookish expert. I avoid the real deal. And I advise avoiding it to and in fact, even the Witchboard we just did, pendulum boards scare the shit out of me, and Ouija boards and the whole thing. There is a spiritual world, that we are in a spiritual world. There is real spiritual good and spiritual evil we're dancing between.